Hey, welcome back to Planet Hex. I'm Andrew Haunt. You may be wondering why there's a picture of myself with a beautiful lady on this screen. This is Jen, who I've been going on adventures with lately, and I've been having a great time with. So that's why there hasn't been a video in a few weeks, because we've got to go out and see bands and have good times and things like that. Yeah, Jen is amazing company. So hi, Jen. Hope you're not blushing too much at this. Anyway, you know me as the author of these books, VHS Ate My Brain 1 and 2, also the originator of the VHS Ate My Brain podcast, the VHS Ate My Brain column, and the upcoming third volume in the series, VHS Ate My Brain Heavy Metal Horrors, as well as a load of other stuff, fiction and comics and a movie and things like that. But I'm bringing up the books there because today we're going to talk about physical media. Just going to take Jen off the screen. See you soon. So I'm going to talk about this issue with Sony, who've sort of shot themselves in the foot with the news that they are ending physical media releases for PlayStation. This has caused quite an uproar online and a lot of discussion in terms of, people both pro and against the phasing out of physical discs. But it has brought wonderful physical media to the forefront of discussion again in popular culture, and it is interesting. So I've got some posts here that I'm going to go through about this. I don't really game much. I do play very occasionally. The kids play games all the time, and a lot of my friends play a lot of games. I even know I know a QC tester for video games. So they do surround me in my life, but they're not something that I take a great deal of time on myself. I do like them, but what's brought this to my attention with the physical media aspect of this video game news is that it has taken away a massive factor for consumers, and that factor is ownership. Now, this is something that's been taken away from many kinds of media. It's been taken away from TV and downloads you buy from TV. We've had streaming services we pay for introduce ads when we didn't pay for TV stations before that had ads. And now every service we've got to pay for it. And these companies such as Sony are trying to force more physical media out of the consumer eye. There is an argument going around that this is a good thing, that more people are downloading, that more people want digital, that more people want this convenience. But a lot of these people that are saying this, from what I have seen, seem to be from a generation that has grown up with DLCs being the norm and downloads being the norm and streaming being more of a norm than it used to be. And a lot of consumers that remember the age of discs, myself and VHS and stuff, and cassettes and vinyl and so on, we're bringing up that we own those things. Those are ours forever. We buy them once, and we don't need to store them on anything. Just like with books or anything like that. If you get a book, brand new or second hand, you own it, it's yours. You don't have to go and retrieve it or download it again from a library. You don't have to have it on an account. You don't have to sign into anything to access the bits of stuff that you have paid for and that you own. This is a really good piece here on IGN.com that covers most of the things that I think about this. PlayStation's physical media free future isn't just concerning, it's offensive. Nicely said, IGN. I do like IGN. You cannot trust digital purchases, and you cannot trust the corporations that offer them. That is absolutely true. When you are paying money for something, unless it is openly stated that it's a subscription, you're being tricked. You're being lied to. You buy a download, you buy a game, and if it's a case with a download code in it, or if you buy it from an online store or a store through a console or such, like whichever platform you use, you pay for that game, and then there will be expansions. There'll be expansions, there'll be updates, there'll be add-ons and all kinds of stuff that you can, continue laying money down for. So not only do you not own the game that you have bought outright, it could be taken away or changed at a moment's notice, which is dodgy. you are also setting yourself up for further purchase in the future. Do take a look at this piece over on IGN.com. This is a really good piece about that, and I share a lot of the thoughts with this. There are, pro and con. I'm sure there are pros towards this, the convenience and so on, but games are getting massively expensive. Like GTA 6 is coming, and it's not getting fit. It wouldn't even fit on a disc. There's part of the argument for digital only is that games are now so big they won't fit on a disc. But why do they need to be that big? Why do they need to be that all-encompassing? Speaking of someone that isn't really a gamer, I get it that there are gigantic open world games and things like that, but this is getting excessive for people's storage and for people's budget. Really, really definitely is for people's budget. What Hi-Fi here says, Sony has waged war on physical media. I think it's terrible news for consumers and 4K Blu-ray alike. Of course, a lot of games are on Blu-ray discs. So Sony's latest announcement is the biggest nail in 4K Blu-ray's coffin to date. So all PlayStation games released from January 2028 onwards will be available only as digital downloads. Physical disc production will end. You'll still be able to get a code in a box. Yay. But that does not give you the item you have paid for. And while they may say it will stay in your account, that can be changed. That can change. In the T's and C's of these companies, it more than likely says somewhere that we can change anything we want without informing you or without your input. Do always read your T's and C's. I know it's very tempting to just hit no or accept all, but do read them. They are important and they have clauses in that you may be a bit uncomfortable with. Do read them. So this is on whathifi.com. Do go and take a look at that. So that's another take on this story about Sony ending physical discs. Over on Tech for Gamers, Sony's massive blow to physical media outshines GTA 6 announcement with 128 million views. The fans' uproar of physical cancellation is far more pronounced than the announcement of GTA 6. Frankly, I don't see the appeal of GTA. I don't really want to do that. So the highlights here: Sony recently announced it's cancelling PlayStation physical discs in 2028. Postings attracted much more attention than the GTA 6 pre-orders opening. The PlayStation announced it has 128 million views compared to Rockstar's 83 million. That says a lot. And I know there will be people that will argue till the end of time that digital only is the way forward. But you're only borrowing that stuff. You're renting it. You're not buying anything. You're not owning anything. You will not have the souvenir on your shelf. You will not have the thing to lend to people or indeed sell on and make some of that money back. This is going to damage the secondary market where people are going to it's going to be limited what people are going to be able to resell, and it's going to see games shrink in the wild, and it's going to make gaming an even more insular pastime, I would say, if you can't go out and buy stuff and enjoy that, being part of that community in an IRL sense rather than just solely digital. Not everything needs to be solely digital, and the argument has been put out that a lot of this is for consumer demand because it's called consumer preference. But consumer preference and being forced into a specific way of doing things, they're different things. They're different things because a lot of gamers have no choice but to do this. That's not preference. So over on the business standard, another take on it, gamers push back as Sony moves away from physical media. Sony said the move was a natural direction intended to reflect consumer trends, showing stronger demand for digital media over physical discs. That is because of the convenience. However, prices are shooting up. There's a lot of money in this, and by ceasing physical media, Sony are cutting out a lot of costs on their part. This isn't, you look at it, think about it, this is not to help consumers, this is to help Sony make more coin out of the audience that they've got. Even if they're not making cases and discs, that's going to save on the production costs, it's going to increasingly boost their profits. and people will have no choice but to get these games on download only, and then they can just charge whatever the hell they like. And it's going to go up. I can see these games going up and up and up in price. So on Wired.com, Sony puts another nail. Sorry, Sony PlayStation puts a nail in physical media's coffin. Wired is always an interesting take on things. Wired is one of the best things, one of the best sites for things like this I can imagine. Great magazine, great website. Retro Apocalypse. A retreat from physical media could have wide-reaching consequences for future backward compatibility support. That's another point. You've got all these games on discs. Are they going to somehow make all these games available digital only for free that people have already bought them? Probably not. I highly doubt that. I think this is going to cost even more money for consumers that will want to, if they want to revisit a classic game that would normally work via backwards compatibility, they're going to end up having to pay yet again for content they already own. So they get the money again. What else have we got here? Over on HollywoodReporter.com, Grand Theft Auto 6 digital only, no disc. Go digital only is a car crash for physical media, so another take on it there. We've also got over on PushSquare.com, PlayStation's can plan to kill physical games spawned not one but many online petitions. So this isn't just like idiots like me on YouTube ranting about this. This is people far and wide are annoyed at this news for many reasons: the collectability, the cost, the availability, just general preference. And there is no reason why Sony couldn't continue making physical copies, maybe a more limited number of them, if nothing else, a more limited number, or on demand even. For people that prefer that, there's no reason not to. But that's over on pushsquare.com. That is another good take on it, and some good thoughts there. What else are people saying? We've got over on denofgeek.com, PlayStation is abandoning physical media to the detriment of consumers. Exactly. This is exactly what I mean. It's a bad sign for gamers everywhere. It is a bad sign for gamers everywhere. And as someone that played lots of games growing up and saw all these generations of consoles and generations of how gaming is developing and evolving, it is more increasingly about the people putting the games out, the games companies, rather than the consumer. The focus on the consumer has gone way down the pecking order, and it's more and more and more about profit and what we can do. How companies can. This is how it seems to me anyway. How these companies can get more money out of offering less. And that is a dangerous precedent. I mean, I wonder if they're going to do something like, if games companies will eventually be inspired to do something like, what's it called? Dynamic pricing with gig tickets, where the price goes up depending on demand. So if something's going to be an enormous hit, they're going to stick $5 or $10 pounds Finubrian dubries, or whatever currency you you use, on top of what you're already paying, just because it's popular. Now, a very vocal person about this has been the creator of Metal Gear Solid. Hideo Kojima finds it really sad that Sony's killing PlayStation game discs. The Death Stranding 2 director warns about a world without physical media. This is a dude that came up with a major property. And while there's a nostalgia aspect to physical media for a lot of people, there will be consequences for the consumer, and it should never be that way. The consumer should be the focus, impressing the consumer, pulling a consumer in, interesting them with what you are offering, rather than taking stuff away and making it more difficult to enjoy. So that's a good piece. That's over on Kotaku.com. And we've also got a piece here on Windows Central, which is a good one. Sony's decision to retire physical PlayStation discs sparked a wave of industry reactions, from jokes to outright disappointment. This is something that I found quite funny about this. There's been a lot of companies who have they've put spoof ads out and spoof things about, we will know Domino's. I saw Domino's Pizza do it. Oh, it's there. Official statement. In response to trends in the gaming industry, as of 1st April 2027, Domino's UK will cease production of physical pizzas and shift to production digital pizzas only. Consumers will be able to download our full range of delicious pizza codes and, using the power of the imagination, enjoy them in an entirely virtual sense. But it's not just pizza. Loads of companies have done this, openly taking the piss out of Sony, and quite rightly, because it's a stupid idea. We've seen things get more and more difficult to get hold of. We've seen the popularity of things wane because we're getting more and more forced into a digital wasteland. It's hard to choose what to watch. It's hard to choose what to play. If you've got Game Pass, we've got Game Pass here, and it's hard to decide on what to get hold of because there's just so much of it. And choice, that massive amount of choice does not denote quality. It does not guarantee enjoyment. Choice for the sake of it, and doing things digital only, it removes a sense of occasion over games. It removes their importance because, whatever, everything's available digitally. It doesn't seem to be an actual product. It's something ephemeral. It's something fleeting. And I think in the long run, this will limit the shelf life of games, because the games that people will go and play bear little resemblance to the games that they paid for at the start. It's just going to get weirder and weirder. And yes, I know I sound like I'm an old man ranting at clouds. I know. I'm fully aware of that. Tech Radar again. We've seen an increase in Blu-ray orders of over 10,000%. Spoke to Blu-ray and Vinyl Agency about the Blu-ray sales. It's given me even more hope for physical media. This is just something on the other side of this to be aware of. That it won't take over. It won't take over from streaming. Excuse me. Because of the weekend, my voice is knackered. There's been a lot of singing drunkenly in places. But Blu-rays and DVDs, physical copies of things, physical books, physical comics, are still selling. And prices and sales are rising on those, as an increasing number of people are sick of the digital-only model, a streaming model, a download-only model. They're sick of it. And while, yes, a lot of games are not aimed at my specific demographic of people in their 40s, we have clout, and you're just going to turn people off. Your audience is going to dwindle. Your sales are going to dwindle. Don't forget about the old timers, bitch. I think that's the point of all this. But this was nice to see. This is over on techradar.com about the rise in Blu-ray orders, and also taking it back to some of the magic of physical media. There is a really good piece here on psychologytoday.com that I found. This is from 16th of June, so it's in a couple of weeks old. Psychologytoday.com, what VHS rewind time reveals about screen time. Key points of it: screen time is too broad a category to be labelled simply good or bad. Media effects depend on what people are doing, using, and potentially replacing. Older technologies often created pauses that streaming platforms now remove. And that is a good point. Intentional breaks can create space for conversation, creativity, and connection, and also a bit of mental downtime. We are assaulted daily with an onslaught of information, be it actual information from news sources or social media, or just adverts going off like thousands of tiny fireworks in your peripheral vision. We are beaten in the face and over the head with content all the time, and advertising trying to get money out of us. But if you sidestep all that, you remove the ability for all the advertising, you remove the ability for, as soon as a movie ends and the credits will start rolling, that it minimizes and says next movie starting in 10 seconds or whatever, next episode or anything like that. You remove that urgent sense of consume, obey. It's very they live. That's what I'm equating all this to, is they live. Dystopian nightmare. Welcome to the 2020s, I guess. Anyway, I'm Andrew Horn. This has been Planet Hex. This has been a bit of a rant. I do apologise. for the length of the rant, but it needed to be said. Physical media should be here to stay, and if at all possible, do let the video game companies know, not just Sony, because other people are going to get itchy fingers about this as well. Let people know you still want a physical media copy, because this is the real world. We are not digital, we are not downloads, and we are not the sum of what we do on social media. We're more than that. We're people, and we will have our preferences, and quite rightly so. Think about your consumer. Never forget your audience. Never turn your back on your audience. Do the right thing. I'm Andrew Horn. Thank you for watching this episode of Planet Hex.